If you were working in the entertainment industry, if you were an actor, a producer, a director, a crew member, a staff member, and you could work with anyone in the whole world with whom you wanted, at the very top of your list would be John Ritter. As a fellow professional, you couldn't ask for more. And as a fellow human being, you couldn't hope for more. John Ritter's extraordinary talent was equaled by his dedication and his professionalism. There was never a time that he wasn't fully prepared to do the work at hand. And there was never a time that he wasn't fully prepared to lighten the load and lighten the mood for everyone lucky enough to be around him. Whether in the workplace or in his personal life, John was an ever-bubbling spring of delight and wonderment. So much of what you experienced through Jack Tripper was what friends and colleagues and family experienced in knowing him. The part of him that wanted to make sure that everyone was taken care of and that everyone was having a good time was the part of himself that John used for the character of Jack Tripper. He used to say that when it came to Three's Company, we were not interested in making people laugh. We were interested in making people laugh so hard that they would fall off their couches laughing. His deep desire to communicate from his heart to others' hearts was there in every moment of the irrepressible, adorable Jack Tripper, and in every frame of his amazing dramatic work, in every scene of his brilliant work in the theater, in every opportunity he had to express his humanitarianism through charitable work, and in every moment of his everyday life. It is my privilege now to take a little walk with you down memory lane, through the life and the work of this enormously talented, amazingly marvelous human being, our friend and yours, John Ritter. Our darling John's legacy extends far beyond Jack Tripper. Jonathan Southworth Ritter was born on September 17, 1948, in Burbank, California. The son of the celebrated singing cowboy Tex Ritter and Western film actress Dorothy Fay, John was no stranger to show business. But his innate comedic genius had its own uniqueness in the Ritter family. Even his famous father seemed surprised by his son's flair for the funny. His extraordinary ability to make people laugh till they cried was anything but an act. John's wondrous talents came from his heart and soul, and his heart's desire to spread joy touched everyone he knew, especially his older brother Tom. John loved being the class clown, but he also had great respect and admiration for Bobby Kennedy, and even a hint of a little bit of political aspiration in there. His political career reached its peak when John was elected 1966 senior class president of Hollywood High. Zaniness was a frequent mode of expression for John, as his friends will tell you, and the acting bug bit him big during his junior year in college at the University of Southern California. John changed his major to theater arts and honed his dramatic talents through college plays, summer stock, and theater festivals. By 1970, John arrived on the small screen, appearing in episodic dramatic series such as Dan August, Starsky and Hutch, The Rookies, and Hawaii Five-0.
Would you be so kind, ma'am, as to help out a young man who appreciates the finer things in life?
In 1972, he landed a recurring part as Reverend Fordwick on The Waltons. But comedy kept calling John's name, and he responded with memorable guest stints on all of the MTM comedies. The Bob Newhart Show, Rhoda, and The Mary Tyler Moore Show among them.
Go back to me.
In 1976, he was cast in a little pilot called Three's Company, in the role that would seem later custom-made for his comedic brilliance and that kid-at-heart playfulness. It wasn't long before John took his comedic persona to the big screen. In 1979, he starred with Audrey Hepburn and Dorothy Stratton in the wonderful ensemble comedy They All Laughed, directed by Peter Bogdanovich. The following year, John donned tights and a cape as a would-be superhero Captain Avenger in the romantic comedy Hero at Large. In the early days of Three's Company, John married his adorable lady friend, actress Nancy Morgan, in 1977. And was soon overjoyed with the birth of their first son, Jason, in 1980. 2 years later, Jason's sister Carly entered the world, and in 1985, their brother Tyler was born. John was always so proud of his children, and he would do anything he could to rearrange his schedule to spend quality time with them. John and his brother Tom were very devoted to raising awareness and precious funds for the United Cerebral Palsy Foundation. From 1978 through the mid-90s, the Ritter brothers anchored the hosting of a national telethon that generated millions of dollars for that cause. In 1984, John received a much-deserved Emmy and Golden Globe for his portrayal of Jack Tripper.
Thank you very much. I'm all a-quiver. As Bruce said, my mother thanks you, and also she'd like to buy everybody up their lunch tomorrow morning.
He also received his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, right next to his father's star.
I wish my dad were here tonight so I could show off for him.
Our producers retired Three's Company in 1984, deciding to do its spin-off, Three's a Crowd, instead. And John would hang up Jack Tripper's apron 1 year later for the last time. John continued focusing on his work in television movies with both comedic and dramatic roles. His touching and poignant portrayal of a Vietnam veteran suffering from cancer in the 1986 telefilm Unnatural Causes earned him an Emmy nomination. John also blended his dramatic and comedic talents as a San Francisco cop in the 1987 Stephen Bochco series Hooperman. He received a People's Choice Award and Emmy and Golden Globe nominations for this role as audiences enjoyed the dramatic side of his talent. But John was far from finished with funny. He brought his masterful physical comedy back to the big screen in the 1988 feature Skin Deep, directed by Blake Edwards. And in 1990, he starred in the first of two hugely successful Problem Child films, where he first met and worked with his future wife, the beautiful and talented Amy Yazbek. It was a romantic comedy that seduced John back to series television in the 1992 sitcom Hearts Afire, which co-starred Marky Post and Billy Bob Thornton. John's friendship with Billy Bob later brought an invitation to join the cast of Sling Blade. John received rave reviews from critics and fans alike for his sensitive portrayal of a gay store owner who befriended Billy Bob's character.
You know what gay is, don't you?
I don't reckon.
Homosexual. I like men. Sexually.
Not funny, ha-ha, funny queer. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a very offensive way to put it. You shouldn't say that, Carl. You were taught that, weren't you?
I've heard it said that a way, yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it's hard to live gay. That's the right way to say it. In a small town like this.
But the small screen kept luring John back. He did turns in episodic hit shows such as Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Wings, Scrubs, and Ally McBeal, for which John received another Emmy nod for his serio-comic performance. At the same time, he voiced the role of Clifford the Big Red Dog in the award-winning PBS cartoon series. John received a Daytime Emmy nomination for this work. Clifford was a favorite of John and Amy's precious daughter, Stella, who was born in September 1998. John's series swan song was playing his very favorite role of all, a loving father, in his starring role in the wonderful ABC comedy, 8 Simple Rules. All of us at Three's Company were blessed beyond measure to have worked with John, and gifted beyond words to have known him and called him friend. We were all very fortunate to have been a part of something that could make people laugh, and it is an unexpected joy that it continues to do so all these years later. We thank you for that great pleasure, and we thank you for recognizing and appreciating and cherishing with all of us the primary source of the joy and the laughter that Three's Company brought to you. The enormous and brilliant talent, the marvelous and exquisite person, and the amazing and beautiful heart of John Ritter. Both precious and profound, in the words of our dear friend and colleague, Richard Klein. His joy and laughter will echo within us till the end of our days. God bless his precious soul.